The Saudi royal family's wealth is estimated at over $1.4 trillion. That's more than the GDP of most countries. But here's the kicker. That number might be way off. Experts think it could be much, much higher. Why? Because so much of their wealth is hidden. From secret bank accounts to shadowy investments, a huge chunk of their fortune is completely off the books. In this video, we're going to dig deep and uncover where all that money really is and how they're using it. The public face, a mirage of modesty. Picture a Saudi prince in a simple white thobe, head bowed in prayer at a grand mosque. Looks pretty humble, right? Well, that's exactly what they want you to see. It's all part of a carefully crafted image the Saudi royal family's been working on for years. These guys love to play up their religious devotion and traditional values. They're always talking about how they're helping the poor and serving Islam. You'll see them opening charities, sponsoring religious schools, and making big donations to mosques. They even renamed the king custodian of the two holy mosques to emphasize their religious role. But here's the thing, it's all for show. Behind closed doors, it's a whole different story. These princes ain't living like humble servants of Islam. They're living it up in ways you can't even imagine. We're about to lift the veil on their secret lives of luxury. You're going to see palaces that make Buckingham look like a shack, private jets with gold toilets, and parties that'd make Vegas blush. We're talking yachts bigger than some hotels, car collections worth more than small countries, and shopping sprees that could bankrupt a city. And get this, a lot of this stuff breaks the very religious laws they're supposed to be upholding. They got hidden rooms full of priceless art that's forbidden by their own rules. They throw secret parties with booze flowing like water, even though alcohol's banned in Saudi Arabia. You won't believe how different these guys act when no one's watching. One minute they're preaching about modesty, the next they're dropping millions on diamond-studded cars. They'll give speeches about fighting corruption, then use their power to make billion-dollar deals for their cousins. We're just scratching the surface here. The Saudi royals have built this whole image of being conservative religious leaders. But it's all smoke and mirrors. Behind the scenes, they're living lives of excess that'd make a rock star jealous. Get ready, because we're about to show you how the richest royal family in the world really lives. Trust me, it ain't anything like what they want you to believe. By the time we're done, you're gonna see the Saudi royal family in a whole new light. And let me tell you, it ain't a flattering one. Palaces that put Versailles to shame. You think you've seen luxury? Think again. The Saudi royals live in palaces so over the top they make Versailles look like a suburban McMansion. We're talking about homes with more rooms than some small towns have people. But here's the kicker. Some of these mega mansions don't even officially exist. Let's start with King Salman's crib. This place is worth over $1 billion. Yeah, billion with a B. It's got 1,500 rooms, and that's just the start. Every surface is covered in gold, marble, or some fancy material you've probably never even heard of. The bathrooms alone are bigger than most people's entire houses. But that's nothing compared to what some of the other royals have built. One prince decided he wanted his own White House, so he just went ahead and made a replica. Because when you're that rich, why not pretend to be the president too? Another royal family member built an indoor rainforest complete with real trees and a man-made stream. It's like they're trying to one-up Mother Nature herself. These palaces got amenities that'll make your head spin. We're talking about indoor lakes, full-size movie theaters, and even miniature amusement parks. One prince has a garage that can hold 200 cars, and trust me, it's full. Another has a private zoo with exotic animals from all over the world. It's like they're playing real-life Sim City with unlimited funds. The crazy thing is, a lot of these places ain't even on any official records. They're hidden away behind high walls and tight security. Some are so secret, regular Saudi citizens don't even know they exist. It makes you wonder what other insane properties they're hiding around the world. And get this, these palaces ain't just for show. The royals use them to host crazy parties and impress foreign dignitaries. Imagine being a world leader and walking into a room with a solid gold ceiling and a floor made of rare crystals. That's just a Tuesday for these guys. But here's the real kicker. While they're living in these mega mansions, a lot of regular Saudi citizens are struggling to make ends meet. The contrast between the royals' palaces and the homes of everyday people is mind-blowing. It's like two different worlds existing side by side. So next time you think your neighbor's new pool is fancy, just remember, somewhere out there, a Saudi prince is probably floating in his own private ocean inside a billion-dollar palace that officially doesn't exist. Makes you wonder what else they're hiding behind those palace walls, don't it? Billion-dollar yachts, floating cities, and speaking of oceans, forget everything you thought you knew about luxury boats. The Saudi royal family's fleet makes even the fanciest super yachts look like dinghies. We're talking about floating palaces that cost more than some countries' GDPs. But here's the real mystery. Why aren't these mega ships flying Saudi flags? Let's start with Prince Mohammed bin Salman's yacht, Serene. This beast cost him $500 million, and it's got features that'll blow your mind. We're talking an underwater viewing room where you can watch fish swim by while sipping champagne. And get this, it's got 2 helipads, because one just ain't enough when you're Saudi royalty, right? But Serene's just the start. Another prince went and bought a yacht with its own missile defense system. Yeah, you heard that right. This thing's ready for a naval battle while you're lounging by the pool. It's like they took a luxury cruise ship and crossed it with a warship. These yachts ain't just for cruising around. They're floating party palaces. The royals throw insane bashes on these boats with guest lists that'd make Hollywood jealous. We're talking A-list celebs, supermodels and billionaires all partying it up in the middle of the ocean. Some of these mega yachts are so tricked out they can stay at sea for months. They got their own desalination plants to make fresh water and enough supplies to outlast a small apocalypse. It's like they're ready to start their own floating countries if things go south back home. And here's a wild rumor. One royal family member supposedly has a yacht with a mini submarine attached. Because why settle for seeing fish through a glass floor when you can go full James Bond and explore the depths yourself? But here's the thing that really makes you wonder. Most of these crazy expensive yachts ain't registered in Saudi Arabia. They fly flags from other countries hiding their true ownership. It's like the royals are playing a giant game of hide and seek with their floating palaces. So next time you see a mega yacht on the news, just remember, there's a good chance it belongs to a Saudi royal. And it's probably got features you can't even imagine. These ain't just boats, they're whole cities on the sea, ready to sail away at a moment's notice. Makes you wonder what other secrets they're hiding out there on the open ocean, don't it? Private jets, flying palaces. You thought first class was fancy? Wait till you see how the Saudi royal family travels by air. We're about to tour private jets so luxurious they make Air Force One look like economy class. The Saudi royals don't just fly first class, they fly whole houses in the sky. King Salman's got a private Boeing 747 that's basically a palace with wings. Inside, there's a solid gold throne. Yeah, you heard that right. A throne, on a plane. Because when you're king, even the clouds gotta know who's boss. But that's nothing compared to Prince Al-Walid bin Talal's ride. This guy owns an Airbus A380, the biggest passenger plane ever made. Most airlines use these to carry hundreds of people. The prince? He turned the whole thing into his personal flying mansion. These jets ain't just big. They're decked out like you wouldn't believe. We're talking full-size bedrooms with king beds and ensuite bathrooms. They got theaters with screens bigger than some movie houses. There's even prayer rooms facing Mecca, no matter which way the plane's flying. One prince decided a regular plane just wasn't fancy enough. So what did he do? Put a concert hall in his jet. For real. This guy can have a whole symphony orchestra playing at 30,000 feet. Imagine hitting turbulence during a violin solo. The interiors of these planes cost more than most people's houses. They spend millions just on the fancy stuff inside. We're talking gold sinks in the bathrooms and crystal chandeliers in the lounges. The carpets probably cost more than your car. Some of these planes are so tricked out they ain't even listed in normal aircraft records. It's like they don't officially exist. Makes you wonder how many other secret jets they got hidden away, don't it? And here's the thing, these ain't just for show. The Saudi royals use these planes like we use Ubers. They'll fly halfway around the world just for dinner or shopping. One prince supposedly flew his jet to a hospital in London just for a checkup. But here's what really makes you think. While they're flying around in these mega luxe jets, a lot of regular Saudis are struggling to make ends meet. It's like two different worlds. One where you got gold thrones in the sky and another where people are just trying to get by. So next time you're squeezing into a cramped airplane seat, just remember, somewhere up there, a Saudi prince is probably stretching out on a king-size bed, watching a private concert, surrounded by more luxury than most of us will see in a lifetime. Makes you wonder what other crazy stuff they got up there in those flying palaces, huh? Car collections that'd make Jay Leno jealous. From sky-high luxury to ground-level extravagance, the Saudi royals don't slow down when it comes to showing off their wealth. Ever wondered what a car collection worth more than the GDP of some countries looks like? Well, the Saudi princes got garages bigger than whole neighborhoods, packed with rides that'd make even the biggest car nuts lose their minds. We're talking collections worth hundreds of millions of dollars. One prince, get this, owns over 5,000 cars. That ain't a typo, 5,000 cars. Most people don't even know 5,000 people, let alone own that many vehicles. This guy's got a different ride for every day of the year, for the next 13 years. But it ain't just about quantity. These cars are next-level fancy. We're talking Bugattis, Koenigsegg's and custom Rolls-Royces that cost more than most people's houses. Some of these princes got cars plated in real gold and studded with actual diamonds. It's like they took normal luxury cars and thought, nah, not flashy enough. And here's the crazy part. A lot of these cars are one of a kind, made just for them. When you're Saudi royalty, you don't just go to a dealership and pick something off the lot. You call up the car company and say, make me something no one else has. And they do it because when a Saudi prince calls, you answer. They even got armored cars with bulletproof everything. We're talking vehicles that could probably survive a small war. Because when you're that rich and powerful, I guess you got to be ready for anything, even when you're just going for a drive. But here's the kicker. Most of these insane cars never even hit the streets. They just sit there in these massive climate-controlled garages looking pretty. It's like having the world's most expensive art collection, but instead of paintings, it's cars. And these garages, they're basically car museums. Some of them got fancy lighting setups to show off the cars like they're in an art gallery. Others got their own mechanics on staff just to keep all these rides in perfect condition. There's even rumors of underground tunnels connecting some of these garages, so the princes can move their cars around without anyone seeing. The craziest thing is, while these guys got billions tied up in cars they don't even drive, there's folks in Saudi Arabia who can barely afford a bus ticket. It's like two different worlds exist side by side, so next time you're feeling proud of your ride, just remember, somewhere out there a Saudi prince is probably sitting in a gold-plated, diamond-studded supercar that's never even seen a public road. And that's just one of thousands he owns. Makes you wonder what else they got hidden away in those massive garages, don't it? Art collections hidden from the world. Those massive garages ain't the only place where Saudi royals are hiding treasures. Ever wonder what a billion-dollar secret looks like? The Saudi royal family's got art collections that'd make the Louvre jealous, but you'll never see them. We're talking about some of the most valuable paintings and sculptures in the world, just sitting in private rooms behind closed doors. These guys got stuff from Picasso, Da Vinci, you name it. But instead of sharing it with the world, they're keeping it all to themselves. One prince supposedly dropped $450 million on a single painting by Leonardo da Vinci. That's more than some countries spend on their entire military budget in a year. And that's just one piece. Imagine what the rest of their collection is worth. But here's where it gets really wild. A lot of this art they're hoarding, it breaks Islamic law. Yeah, you heard that right. The same guys who are supposed to be upholding religious rules are breaking them big time with their secret art stashes. They keep all this stuff hidden away in secret vaults and private galleries. We're talking about rooms that are more secure than some banks. These places got temperature control, special lighting and security systems that'd make Fort Knox look like a playground. Some of these pieces are so secret the art world don't even know they exist. Imagine being the guy who painted something that sold for millions and you don't even know where it ended up. It's like these paintings just vanish into thin air once the Saudi royals get their hands on them. And it ain't just paintings. They got sculptures, ancient artifacts, you name it. Some of this stuff is so rare and valuable it'd make museum curators faint if they knew about it. But instead of being in museums where people could appreciate it, it's all locked away where only a select few ever get to see it. The craziest part, while they're hiding away all this priceless art, there's folks in Saudi Arabia who've never even been to a museum. It's like they're hoarding culture while their own people don't get to experience it. You gotta wonder what masterpieces they're hiding from the world. Are there lost works by famous artists just sitting in some prince's private gallery? Ancient treasures that could rewrite history books? We might never know. And here's a thought that'll really mess with your head. What happens to all this art when these guys die? Does it get passed down to the next generation of royals, sold off in secret auctions, or does it just stay locked away forever, hidden from the world? So next time you're at a museum looking at some fancy painting, just remember, the real treasures might be hidden away in some Saudi prince's secret vault. Makes you wonder what other priceless stuff they're keeping all to themselves, don't it? Secret parties. Vegas. Ain't got nothing on this. Think Vegas is wild? The Saudi royals throw parties that'd make Sin City look like a church picnic. These guys don't mess around when it comes to letting loose. We're talking about multi-million-dollar bashes hidden away in secret European villas. Places so fancy and private, most folks don't even know they exist. These ain't your average parties. The Saudi princes fly in A-list celebs, supermodels and entire orchestras just for one night of fun. Imagine partying with Hollywood stars while a world-famous symphony plays in the background. That's just another Tuesday for these guys. Now here's where it gets real crazy. In Saudi Arabia, alcohol is totally banned. But at these secret parties, the booze flows like water. We're talking top-shelf liquor that costs more than most people's cars. They got champagne fountains, rare whiskeys, you name it. It's like they're making up for lost time. Some of these parties got themes so wild you wouldn't believe it. One prince supposedly threw a Garden of Eden party where everyone dressed up like Adam and Eve. Another had a Pirates of the Caribbean bash on a private island. They don't just go all out, they go way, way over the top. The entertainment at these things is next level. They drop millions just on performers. We're talking private concerts by the biggest names in music. Beyoncé, Drake, you name it. If they're famous, chances are they've performed at one of these secret Saudi parties. But here's the kicker. All of this is kept super hush-hush. These parties are more secret than a spy mission. They got security tighter than Fort Knox, and everyone who attends has to sign NDAs. It's like what happens at these parties is supposed to stay at these parties forever. You gotta wonder what really goes down at these secret shindigs. With all that money, booze, and secrecy, who knows what kind of crazy stuff happens? There's rumors about underground casinos, exotic animals, even wilder stuff that ain't fit to print. And so next time you're impressed by some millionaire's yacht party, just remember, somewhere out there a Saudi prince is probably throwing a bash that makes that look like a kid's birthday party. These guys are playing a whole different game when it comes to partying. Makes you wonder what other secrets they're keeping, don't it? Shopping sprees that'd bankrupt small countries. If you thought the parties were extravagant, hold on to your wallet. The Saudi royals' shopping habits are so over the top they make most billionaires look like bargain hunters. Imagine buying so much stuff you need a whole team just to do your shopping for you. That's just the beginning of how these royals roll when it comes to retail therapy. We're not talking about picking up a few designer items here and there. These guys go on spending sprees that could literally pay off some country's debts. One princess reportedly dropped $20 million in a single day on Fifth Avenue. That's more than most people will earn in their entire lives, gone in 24 hours on clothes and jewelry. But here's the crazy part. They don't just buy clothes, they buy entire collections. We're talking designer outfits by the truckload. And get this, they'll often wear these super expensive clothes just once before giving them away. It's like they're playing dress up with the GDP of a small nation. Some of these royals got whole teams dedicated just to shopping for them. Imagine that job. Your entire career is just buying stuff for someone else. These shoppers jet around the world, hitting up the fanciest stores and designers, all on the royal dime. And when they do decide to shop in person, they don't mess around. These princes and princesses will shut down entire luxury stores just so they can browse in private. Picture walking up to Gucci or Prada and seeing a closed for private shopping sign. That's probably a Saudi royal inside, buying out half the inventory. The amount of stuff they buy is mind-boggling. We're talking about purchases so big they need cargo planes to ship it all. Handbags, shoes, watches, jewelry. If it's expensive and exclusive, they want it. And they want a lot of it. But here's a wild thing. A lot of this stuff never even makes it back to Saudi Arabia. They got houses and apartments all over the world, and a lot of these shopping halls just end up sitting in closets never worn. The royal entourage, an army of servants. All that wealth and power ain't just for show. It takes a small nation's worth of people to keep the Saudi royal machine running. We're talking thousands of servants, each with a job more bizarre than the last. You won't believe what some of these folks do for a living. Let's start with the basics. These royals got chefs from every corner of the world. Italian, Japanese, French, you name it, they got a top chef for it. But it ain't just one or two. We're talking whole teams of chefs for each type of cuisine. And they ain't cooking in no ordinary kitchen. These are state-of-the-art setups that'd make Gordon Ramsay jealous. But food's just the start. The royals got personal stylists on call 24/7. These folks' whole job is making sure the princes and princesses look perfect. They got people to do their hair, their makeup, even pick out their clothes. And get this, some of them got staff just to iron their money. Yeah, you heard that right. They want their cash crisp and wrinkle-free. Now here's where it gets real weird. Some princes got people whose only job is to carry their phone or hold their drink. Imagine that. Your whole career is just making sure a prince don't have to reach into his own pocket for his iPhone. There's even rumors of staff members whose job is to taste the prince's food before he eats it, like something out of medieval times. When these royals travel, they don't just pack a suitcase, they bring entire armies with them. We're talking hundreds of people for a single trip. They got security teams bigger than some countries' armies. They bring their own doctors, their own cooks, even their own interior decorators to make their hotel rooms feel like home. But here's the dark side of all this luxury. A lot of these workers are treated like they're less than human. There's stories of staff working crazy long hours, getting paid next to nothing, and having their passports taken away so they can't leave. It's like modern-day slavery, all to keep these royals living in the lap of luxury. And you know what's really crazy? A lot of this staff ain't even officially on the books. They're like ghosts, working behind the scenes to keep the royal machine running smooth. Makes you wonder how many people are really working for them, huh? Could be thousands more than anyone knows about. So next time you see a Saudi prince looking all perfect and put together, just remember, there's a whole army of people making that happen. From the guy ironing his cash to the girl holding his drink, it's a wild world of servants keeping the Saudi royals living large. Medical care, personal hospitals and designer jeans. While most of us book appointments months in advance to see a specialist, Saudi royals are building entire hospitals just for themselves. But that's not even the craziest part. What if I told you they're experimenting with treatments that sound more like science fiction than modern medicine? These guys ain't just going to the doctor, they're creating whole medical empires. We're talking private hospitals with tech so advanced, most regular docs wouldn't even know how to use it. They got machines that can scan your whole body in minutes, robots that can do surgery and stuff that looks like it's from the future. But why stop at fancy equipment when you can have the world's best docs on speed dial? These royals fly in top surgeons from all over the globe just for routine checkups. Imagine having a heart specialist from New York, a brain surgeon from London, and a cancer expert from Tokyo, all waiting in your living room just to make sure you're feeling okay. Now here's where it gets real wild. Some of these princes are into experimental treatments that ain't even legal in most countries. There's talk about gene therapy that can change your DNA, and anti-aging stuff that promises to keep you young forever. It's like they're trying to become superhumans or something. They got personal pharmacies stocked with drugs you can't even get normally. We're talking meds that ain't approved yet, stuff that's still in trials, and cocktails of vitamins and hormones mixed up just for them. It's like they got their own mini FDA deciding what's safe and what ain't. But here's the thing, all this medical madness is kept under wraps tighter than a mummy. They got security on these facilities that'd make the Pentagon look like a playground. Nobody knows exactly what's going on behind those doors. It makes you wonder, don't it? What kind of treatments are they really getting? Are they finding cures for diseases the rest of us don't even know about? Or are they just pumping themselves full of stuff that'll backfire big time? And let's not forget, while these royals are playing doctor with billion-dollar toys, regular folks in Saudi Arabia are struggling to get basic health care. It's like two different worlds. One where you got a whole hospital wing with your name on it, and another where people are waiting months just to see a regular doc. So next time you're sitting in a crowded waiting room, just remember, somewhere out there, a Saudi prince is probably getting a full-body scan in his private hospital wing, with a team of world-class docs hovering around him. Makes you wonder what other medical secrets they're keeping, huh? Education, buying their way to the top, from private hospitals to private universities. You might think education is the great equalizer, but for Saudi royals, it's just another playground for their billions. When it comes to schooling their kids, these guys ain't just paying tuition, they're buying whole dang schools. We're talking millions upon millions donated to top universities around the world, but it ain't just about being generous. Nah, this is all part of their plan to get their kids into the best schools, no questions asked. They're basically buying VIP passes to Ivy League educations. These royals ain't stopping at donations either. They're building whole departments at universities. Imagine walking into Harvard and seeing a Saudi prince's name on a building. That's the kind of pull we're talking about. They're not just getting their foot in the door, they're owning the whole doorway. But why stop at fancy schools when you can bring the education to you? Some of these princes got private tutors flown in from all over the world. We're talking top professors from Oxford, MIT, you name it. These kids are getting one-on-one lessons from the best of the best, all from the comfort of their gold-plated palaces. Now here's where it gets real crazy. There's stories going around about Saudi princes getting degrees without even showing up to class. Yeah, you heard that right. Some of these guys are getting diplomas handed to them like they're party favors. Makes you wonder what those degrees are really worth, huh? And don't think these royal kids are just blending in with the other students. Nah, they're spending insane amounts of money on security at these schools. We're talking bodyguards, armored cars, the whole 9 yards. It's like they're bringing a piece of their kingdom with them to campus. But here's the thing. A lot of this education stuff ain't exactly by the books. There's whispers about grades being adjusted, special treatment in admissions, all sorts of shady business. It's like they're playing a whole different game than regular students. So next time you're stressing about getting into a good college or paying off those student loans, just remember, somewhere out there a Saudi prince is probably getting a degree handed to him on a silver platter. Makes you wonder how many of their fancy diplomas are really earned, don't it? In this royal family, seems like the only test that matters is how deep your pockets are.